Welcome to episode number
78.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And this is episode number 2 of this topic. In our last episode, which would have been 77, if you didn't catch it, we started the topic of the suppression of the sacred for secularism. So you might want to go back and grab that if you haven't had a chance to watch it. Let's start off talking about chaos.
Yeah.
You know, what does chaos theory tell us about creation and order, Bersaba?
That everything is in chaos first before it's in order.
That's right. So that would mean that order is nothing more than structured or organized chaos. Mm-hmm. Now, this is important because the world feels a little chaotic right now.
Just a tad.
Just a tad.
Just a tad.
I mean, you could certainly buy into there's a lot of chaos in the world right now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the good news is, according to the ancient teachings in the book, the Bible, if you go to the creation myth, what was first before God created?
All was dark and void.
That sounds like chaos to me, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yes. So all was dark and void, and then it started to become organized and structured.
Yes.
Now, stick with that principle. Hang on to it for a moment. We began a discussion on the transmutation of the sacred into secularism last week, and secularism began back in the Renaissance with the concept of humanism, which basically, secularism is religious indifference or religious skepticism, and more focused on humans being God versus God being God. And secularism has been accepted and accelerated in most recent years. Now, we're going to suggest to you this is problematic, and it creates many of our current issues. Mm-hmm. What kind of issues does that create, Bersaba, in your opinion?
Well, it creates the chaos of anything goes. When there's no hierarchy when there's no hierarchy, it creates chaos.
And hierarchy is a good word. Let us propose a metaphor here, and it's just metaphoric. So there's two kinds of principles or relationships in this world. There's a vertical relationship, which again is metaphoric, and there's a horizontal relationship or view of the world. This vertical relationship we would call what, Bersaba?
A relationship with God.
A relationship with God.
Your creator.
Or some organizing principle. Mm-hmm. So what does a horizontal relationship without a vertical relationship give you?
The plane of existence.
The plane of existence. And what else does it give you behaviorally?
Oh, behaviorally, like I said, anything goes when there's no hierarchy.
Are there any rules?
No, the rules is, monkey see, monkey do. You look at other people. You look at what somebody else is doing, and you're like, okay, maybe I'll do that. And somebody else will come along and be like, maybe I'll do that. Or maybe I'll do this. You could be swayed to anything, pretty much.
So you're conditioned and you're programmed into your behavior or what's right or wrong based upon observing the horizontal or those around you. Mm-hmm. It tends to eliminate morality and focuses you solely on ethics. Now, this is an important distinction to make. Bersaba, you have an illustrious past.
Yes, I do.
Yes. Were you falling asleep there for a minute?
I'm okay.
Yeah, okay, come back. You have an illustrious past, and I do too. When you were growing up, you interacted with a lot of gang members.
I did.
Did they have a set of rules or ethics?
Sure they did.
They did. Were they very moral?
No.
Not so much.
No.
Same is true for me. When I spent 2 years in prison, I was surrounded by gang members. Mm-hmm. They had a code of ethics. And some of their ethics were, if a guy disrespects you on the yard, you either beat him up or you ventilate him, and that was a slang term for stab him. That was their ethics, and that was their code. Not very moral, but they definitely had a code they operated by. Do you get the difference? And so this is what we tend to be driven to when we don't have this vertical relationship. Now, why do we need a hierarchy? Beersheba?
We need it for order.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it's innate within us?
No.
I believe it is. I mean,
What do you mean?
Is it inside of us to need some kind of hierarchical? Yes. I
thought you meant it's just, anyway.
Naturally born in you.
Yeah.
So if you go to a pack of wolves, they have a code of ethics, if you will. They have a hierarchy. They have a way that they operate, and they have normal behaviors. Then you come up from the animal level to a higher animal level, let's say gang members, and they too have this code of ethics, and they have a hierarchy. And then you can come all the way up to a vertical position, which we already said at the top of that hierarchy is God, or the organizing principle. Now, just to repeat, if we don't have that vertical relationship, where do we look as young adults and even as older adults to determine what's ethical and what's right or wrong to do?
Well, you look at your parents, friends, teachers, colleagues.
Right.
Everyone that's around you.
And those behaviors may not be very moral. Depends on who you grow up with and who you grow up around. And if you look at our world today, what appears to be chaos is the outcome of this lack of morality we're going to propose to you. You know, there's ethics, and we'll get to that in just a minute. But without a vertical relationship, without morality, then it's no much more than an agreement based upon normal behavior.
Right.
So hopefully that makes sense to you. And what has become our ethics in a secular world, Beersheba? If we look around us, what drives behavior?
It's money.
And there's another
materialism.
That's right, 2 M words, money and materialism, really has become our ethics. And by the way, it's also become our God.
Yes.
And you say, well, how does that work? Well, because whatever you give the most attention to and whatever you think about the most is what you worship. So money and materialism has become our God. And what else does that drive? Well, the destruction without this vertical relationship, there's a destruction of the family unit. What impact does that have on us, Beersheba? The destruction of the family unit.
Well, it's what you see in the world today.
Okay, more specifically, what kinds of things is that driving?
Well, it's driving the confusion in people when you don't have that stability in the home. Then, you know, you get that mindset of anything goes.
True.
You can do whatever you need to do in order to be able to survive, type of deal. No one cares for me. No one loves me. You know, mom wasn't there, dad wasn't there, whatever the case may be.
Does it also drive how we as men behave as men and how women behave as women?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, when there's no traditional gender roles in the family unit, then that's one of the big causes for an epidemic that's happening in our world today, gender dysphoria. You know, this whole gender dysphoria and blending and transforming gender roles, even at the risk of depression, according to research, body mutilation, and increased death by suicide. Or even death wishes, at minimum, drive us further and further away from us, ironically, in the name of inclusion. But it's not including, it's excluding.
Sure.
One of the greatest causes that Beersheba and I find for suffering in the people we work with one-on-one, just like you, is a what?
Well, it's caused from... Well, it's a lack of integration, which is caused by a lot of confusion inside. Well, it's the chaos.
It's the chaos.
It's the chaos.
It's a secular world. A lack of integration. You see, peace, prosperity, and power come from inner unity. External diversity is a good thing. We believe in external diversity.
Well, It's obvious.
Persian and a white guy.
Yeah.
We believe in external diversity, but, and what that drives is different opinions, different beliefs, different perspectives.
Sure.
But internal diversity is chaos.
Yeah,
There's
that's
that
not
word
fun.
again. And so what we ultimately need to become is whole.
Mm-hmm.
When we become whole, then we operate from what position?
We operate from the vertical position.
That's right. And we could actually say that to become whole, we become holy. Now, there's a concept for you. It's a sacred journey to become whole. It really is. That receives little to no attention whatsoever in a secular world.
Oh, that's true.
Now, you look at the mysteries, where's the throne of God in the mysteries?
The center of your heart.
In the center of your heart. Not literally the physical heart, but the cardiac ganglia, which is a mass behind the heart, is what's called the center of God or the throne of God. When we enter that center, we return to the sacred.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe we're going to suggest to you it's time for us to consider doing what's necessary to come back to center. Maybe if you decide to do that, it begins with a decision. It definitely does. Not maybe. It definitely begins with a decision. And it must be followed by action.
Mm-hmm.
And for sure, it begins with you. I want to thank you for a couple of moments of your day. Hopefully this has been valuable.
Yes.
God bless you.
Thank you for being here.
Lots of love to you. Get back to center. We'll see you next week.
See ya.
Bye.